reaction to this and much more is Texas Senator Ted Cruz. Senator, your reaction to that?
Well, it's a little rich to see Nancy Pelosi talking about not politicizing an issue, because the approach of President Obama and the Democrats from the very beginning of this crisis at the border has been all politics and no interest in actually solving the problem. You know this weekend...
Yeah, go ahead.
This weekend, I was down at the border. I was down at McAllen. I met with the chief of the Border Patrol. I met with a number of Border Patrol agents. And I asked the agents, I said, why is this happening? Why are so many children coming now? What's changed? Every single Border Patrol agent answered. They said they're coming because they believe they're getting amnesty. This is a humanitarian crisis, but is the direct consequence of President Obama's lawlessness. And we're not going to solve this crisis until we stop President Obama's amnesty.
You know, Senator, I've been down there 9 times now, most recently with Governor Perry, who we just had on, and I got the exact same answer. They're all coming with a plan. They turn themselves in. They're not even trying to hide. They just, all they want to do is step foot on American soil. They hand themselves in. You challenged, the president wouldn't go to the border. I actually went there, and I got the briefing that I think he should have gotten. You took on Harry Reid this week, and you said, hey, he's living in the Ritz in Washington. Why isn't he down at the border?
Well, and this has been the pattern of President Obama and the Democrats, which is that they pay no attention to the suffering that their policies are causing. You know, several weeks ago, I was at Lackland Air Force Base, where there are roughly 1,200 of these children being kept. And it's important to understand, these little boys, these little girls, are being brought into this country not by well-meaning social workers with Birkenstocks and beards. They're being brought in by violent, vicious drug cartels. And these little boys and little girls are being physically assaulted, being sexually assaulted. And it is really sad to see President Obama and the Democrats unwilling to do anything to solve this crisis. You look at the president's proposed supplemental. It's a very cynical bill because it's all HHS social spending with nothing to solve the problem, which means the president is assuming that next year tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of little boys continue to be brought in by drug dealers and cartels, continue to be physically, sexually assaulted. That is not compassionate. That is not humane. The compassionate, humane thing to do is enforce the law and stop President Obama's amnesty. That's the direct cause of all these little boys and girls being victimized.
The president wants consensus. You can give him you can change the 2008 law, which was to stop against child sex trafficking. You can control the border. Republicans would sign on to that in a minute. The president, it's not even an option. Let me switch to the president and obviously the open mic segment with John Kerry on Fox News Sunday. This is not a pinpoint strike, etc., and he's outraged. I've got some video that I want to show you. I'll explain to you what it is in case your monitor doesn't put it up. You got Hamas-masked militants inside these sophisticated tunnels that they built. You can see they've got cement reinforcement there. You got various Hamas armed wing gunmen inside the tunnel. Militants putting lights on their heads. They're wearing green uniforms, masks inside the tunnel. And you can see the weapons walking inside the tunnel. They've got them. They have, you know, literally various of Hamas militants in there. Obviously, this is how they kidnapped those 3 boys. This is how they launch a lot of their attacks on Israel. Why isn't the United States saying, 1,600 rockets, we're with you, we support you, you have the right to defend yourself?
Right. Well, and these Hamas terrorists had tranquilizers and handcuffs there precisely to capture innocent Israeli civilians, to capture children, to capture soldiers, and hold them for ransom. Israel is defending herself against vicious terrorists who are trying to murder innocent civilians. As Prime Minister Netanyahu put it very effectively a couple of weeks ago, in Israel, they use missile defense to protect their civilians. Hamas is using their civilians to protect their missiles, which is a war crime. And you ask, why aren't we doing this, Sean? The reason is sad, it's tragic. But the Obama administration is the most anti-Israel administration this government has ever had. Yesterday, we saw the FAA make an unprecedented decision to ban all air travel to the nation of Israel. And I've asked today the very simple question, did President Obama just unilaterally launch economic boycotts on the nation of Israel? Because John Kerry showed up in Israel, gave $47 million to Hamas in Gaza.
That is insanity.
And simultaneously,
we gave 1.5 billion F-16s and tanks to Mohammed Morsi, who was the head of the Muslim Brotherhood, who said the Israelis are descendants of apes and pigs. What is wrong with this administration?
Well, and listen, this decision by the FAA raises serious questions. Was this a political decision? Was this driven by the White House? Was it driven by the State Department? If it was based on airline safety, as they said, why did they single out Israel? Why not ban travel to Pakistan or Yemen or Ukraine, where a commercial airliner was just shot down, but instead they targeted Israel, and the timing
couldn't have been worse.
Was at the exact moment Kerry was there trying to strong-arm Israel into stopping their efforts to shut down Hamas's rockets and tunnels.
You said that you believed that they were trying to blackmail Israel by cutting, which I agree with, but which is because they're cutting Israel off from the rest of the world at a very important time. You're right. The State Department, you know, a spokesman responded to you, and I want to play it and give you a chance to respond.
Senator Cruz just released a statement saying that the FAA's flight suspension in Israel is economic blackmail, and the Obama administration is doing this to punish Israel.
It's ridiculous and offensive, quite frankly. The FAA takes its responsibilities very seriously. I will speak for them in that case. They make these decisions based solely on the security and safety of American citizens, period. For anyone to suggest otherwise, it's just ridiculous.
Response, Senator?
You know, what is ridiculous is the Obama administration refusing to answer simple questions about whether this was dictated by politics and why the FAA is singling out Israel while not focusing on other areas of the world. And what is offensive is the Obama administration giving $47 million that will go to Hamas, who is actively trying to kill civilians, while simultaneously imposing millions of dollars of economic harms on our friend and ally Israel. The State Department needs to answer those questions, and Sean, I announced today that in response to that refusal to answer from the State Department, I intend to hold all State Department nominees until they answer these questions. Congress deserves to know, and the American people deserve to know, was this politics from the White House, or was this an airline safety decision? And I think the facts strongly suggest it was politics in an effort to strong-arm the nation of Israel.
I wonder if your fellow Republicans will support you this time. It'll be interesting to watch. Last question, Senator. True Blood depicted a Ted Cruz fundraiser, and, well, I'll just give you a quick chance to respond. We're running out of time.
Well, the HBO's vampire show, True Blood, they did have vampires murdering a bunch of Texas Republicans at a Ted Cruz fundraiser. You know, I have to say I posted on Facebook that of all the places I never thought to be mentioned on HBO's vampire show would be right up at the front, but I said, you know, well, I guess I may have lost the vampire vote. I find it interesting and amusing that HBO is suggesting that the far left are blood-sucking fiends.
Well, there might be something there, Senator. I'll let the viewers decide. Thanks for being with us.
Thank you, Sean.